The Dodgers won the series in Arizona and have continued to build that lead in the NL West. They took the season series against the Diamondbacks, and Shohei Ohtani is on the precipice of 50-50. We're going to get into it. We're going to talk Dodgers. Let's get locked on Dodgers.
You are Locked On Dodgers, your daily Los Angeles Dodgers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yo, Dodger fans. Welcome to Locked On Dodgers. We are part of the Locked On Podcast Network, the #1 local sports daily podcast network. Locked On, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Now through September 22nd, all FanDuel customers can bet $5 and get a 3-week free trial of NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. This is the daily podcast covering the Los Angeles Dodgers, bringing you the smart fans' perspective on our boys in blue. You can find us wherever you find podcasts and on YouTube. All you got to do is search for Locked On Dodgers. And you can make that easier on yourself by subscribing and be notified when our episodes are ready or when we're live, like we are here on Monday night. If this is your first time listening, welcome. My name is Vince Samperio. That's Jeff Snyder. He's my co-host. And we've been doing this podcast here for 6 seasons now. We've both been in different capacities covering the Dodgers for a decade now, writing about the team, being in the press box, being in the locker room, talking to players, all that type of stuff. And we're here to continue to talk Dodgers. We're here to continue to analyze this team and this season and the way the season's going. We're on the upswing right now. The Dodgers just finished taking 3 out of 4 from Arizona in Arizona and have all but, we'll talk about this later, but all but, locked up the NL West to a certain degree in the sense that it would take a collapse on the Dodgers end to not win it all. So, Jeff, it was a wraparound series, which we don't really get ever, or at the very least, maybe once a season. So kind of weird that we're talking here on a Tuesday morning episode, and we're talking about the same series that we talked about on the Monday morning episode.
Yeah, and it was fun. It was good that the Dodgers got another game against the DBacks after the way Sunday's game went. It was nice to end on a much better note. And even though, if Sunday had been the end of the series, they would have won the series anyway. But winning a series 3-1 is even more than winning a series 2-1, especially coming into a series like this. But, we'll dig more into the Monday game in the second segment. But the big thing for me in this game on Monday was Shohei Ohtani saying, hey, look, I know I have more power than almost anybody in baseball, but also I can steal bases at will. He stole 3 bases in this game, back-to-back pitches. He stole second and third base and then scored a run. It actually manufactured a run, which, that's what he can do. I'm always just amazed. Like I was having a conversation with my wife yesterday. She was asking about the sliding gloves that guys wear. She said, is that a new thing? Was there like a lot of guys hurting their hands? And I was explaining to her how, especially since replay came in, more guys are going head first on stolen bases to make sure that they maintain contact with the bag. It's not like nobody went head first before, but almost everybody goes head first on stolen bases now to make sure that they can maintain contact with the bag. And I told her that's one of the many amazing things about Shohei Ohtani is he's also the best feet first slider in baseball. He goes directly to the bag, perfect pop-up slides, perfect amount of momentum that he gets there quickly, but also doesn't come off the bag when he slides. It's so much fun to watch him slide into second and, goes right to the right part of the bag, the back part of the bag to make it hard to get tagged. And like you watch him run, it never looks like he's running fast. He's just getting where he's going fast. I'd love to count like how many steps he takes on a stolen base and how many steps Corbin Carroll with his little tiny baby legs takes on a stolen base, because I feel like Ohtani takes like half as many steps as Corbin Carroll.
He definitely glides out there and really the stolen bases, he was stealing bases here and there in the earlier part of the season, really over the last month or so. He's really ramped it up, maybe since the All-Star break. He's really ramped it up. And basically it seems like if he wants to steal second base, he can steal second base. Like he didn't get thrown out in the month of August. And it's not ever even really close. Like there's throws, but it's never even gone to like, I don't even think there's been any reviews on any of his stolen bases. Like he's stealing these bases, like you mentioned, with ease. And man, it's fun to watch because like, even if he's not hitting the homers, which he has continued to do so, or hitting the doubles or anything else, like he walks, he's on second, and Mookie can maybe just take a couple pitches and say, okay, I'll wait till Ohtani gets on second so then I can get RBI when I hit this single instead of just moving the guy over. So it's been really, really, really fun to watch this. As new school or part of the current game, I do like stealing bases is fun. Like it's a fun part of the game, and it's definitely something that adds to it. And with Ohtani making it seem like so easy, you're thinking like if he really wanted to, he might be able to steal 100 plus bags.
Yeah, it is pretty wild. And one of the benefits of the rule changes, because the limited pickoff attempts helps, the bigger bases helps a little bit, and it's just kind of perfect storm. And I think the fact that he's not pitching, so he's not worried about scraping up his arm on a slide or anything, that, he can just go for it. I'm guessing when he's back to pitching, he won't steal quite as many bases. But, I was running some numbers because he's now at 47 homers, 47 stolen bases, 44 homers. So he needs 3 stolen bases and 6 homers to get to 50-50. And so I was looking, there's 24 games left. And so I crunched the numbers, went on StatHead, which is an awesome tool through Baseball Reference. And I did the span finder and looked at the span of 24 games this year for Shohei Ohtani. How often? So he's played 135 games now, which means he has 112 24 game spans for us to look at. And he, in those 24 game spans, he has hit fewer than 6 home runs just 12 times. Looks like 7 times he only had 4 home runs in 24 games. 5 times he had 5. The rest of them, it's been at least 6, as many as 13 a couple times. For example, from June 11th to July 7th, those 24 games, 13 homers. And all kind of overlapping, June 5th to July 2nd, June 9th to July 6th. But also looking at the stolen bases. And, to your point, and Joe and Oro were talking about that on the broadcast, that he didn't really start stealing a ton of bases. Like, he has 30 stolen bases since the start of July. And if you look at those same 24 game spans, I was looking to see, okay, how often does he have at least 3 stolen bases in 24 games? The answer is almost all of his spans. They had 2 spans of, or 4 spans of 24 games where he only had 2 stolen bases. The rest of them, but you look at, he started the first 24 games of the season, 5 stolen bases, and it's all single digits. And then you get to the span starting June 28th to July 27th, 10 stolen bases. Then it's even more and more and more from July 26th to August 21st, 15 stolen bases in those 24 games. Like, it's not crazy to think that Ohtani could get to 60 stolen bases. We could see a 50-60 season. I don't think 60 homers is even a possibility for him. His biggest 24 game span was 13 homers, so that would put him at 57. But a 55 homer, 60 stolen base season isn't out of the question, especially as somebody pointed out to me on Twitter when I tweeted out some of these numbers. TM Wish at Bear Hunter 90 said he also has 9 games against the Marlins and Rockies left, including 3 in Colorado. So, there's plenty of bad pitching and home run atmospheres to take advantage of for Ohtani the rest of the way. I wouldn't say 50-50 is a lock, but if I was going on FanDuel and looking at the FanDuel odds for Ohtani to get 50-50, for example, which I'm doing right now, the odds, yes, is minus 215. I'd still do it. You know what? You're not going to make a ton of money, but you're going to lose money if you bet no. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, he's locked in right now on the bases. Can be with the way we've seen him hit, he can always be a little bit more locked in on hitting, not in the sense of he's not personally locked in, just in the matter of like sometimes you're in a good groove, sometimes you're not. And I think for us, it's been great to watch as Dodgers fans, and maybe this might be one of the only years we see this. Like maybe next year when he is a pitcher, he doesn't end up doing that and stealing as much, because you are trying to preserve your legs a little bit, because you do have to pitch every 5-6 days, whatever it is. So this might be like the one unicorn year right now that we get to see this. Obviously we'll get to see a unicorn year of him pitching and hitting, and maybe a little bit of stealing still in the future. But yeah, it's gonna be great for us to kind of sit back and enjoy this part of the game. And you think ahead to October, and you think about in a big situation or late in the game, and Shohei Ohtani gets on base, steals second, and now you have 1 or 2 chances with Mookie Betts and Freddie Freeman coming up to drive that run in, and it's a different element to the game that the Dodgers haven't really had or haven't utilized. Even if they had the speed, they haven't utilized it.
Thinking he was at 40. Oh, sorry. I spoke wrong. I was thinking he was at 44 coming into the game. I knew he had 3 stolen bases. He was at 44 homers, 43 stolen bases. So he currently has 46 stolen bases. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty exciting. Elisheva says she hopes we're going to admit that other people played tonight too. Yeah, as you can see in the bullet points on the right, we'll call this a segue or something, huh, Vince? Because a lot of other Dodgers played tonight too. Or today.
Yeah, there was a lot of offense in this game. 11 runs put up by the Dodgers in a game started by Eduardo Rodriguez. So we'll get into that next. So make sure to keep it locked on Dodgers. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. It is the time of year when the games might matter a little bit more, or maybe for the Dodgers, it might not matter once we get past the middle of September. But either way, it's time to get into live events, and it's time for you to do Game Time Picks, because Game Time Picks makes getting tickets easier for your favorite live events. He picks out the filters out the fluff to show you the stuff that really matters. Incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. So make sure to go download the Game Time app, check out Game Time Picks, and take advantage of all the other things on the Game Time app, like all-in pricing, where you can see the price that you're going to pay, not the price before the fees. Seat views, where you can see what your seat looks like or what the view from your seat looks like. The lowest price guarantee, where you can have the best price at the seat you're at, or if you find somewhere that has it cheaper in your same section in a row, you'll get 110% of the difference refunded you by Game Time. And the Game Time ticket coverage, where you can take advantage and check out their customer service policy, which is one of the best in the business. So right now, go download the Game Time app and take the guesswork out of buying tickets, because if you download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB, you'll get $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game time. I want to thank you for making Locked On Dodgers your first listen of the game. Make sure to find us wherever you get podcasts and on YouTube. Make sure to subscribe so you can be notified when our episodes are ready or when we're going live, like we are here on Monday night. Remember, you can check out Locked On MLB podcast for another listen in your day with our pal Sully, who's bringing you the humor and knowledge of the baseball world, getting you ready for the Fall Classic. So make sure to check out the Locked On MLB podcast wherever you get podcasts and on YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. The Locked On Podcast Network also brings Locked On Sports Los Angeles and Locked On Sports Today, 2 24/7 streaming channels on YouTube, bringing you the biggest news and stories from the sports world and the LA sports world. The Locked On Dodgers postcast with host Pete Fox, which is more of a recap of the specific game that day, is live on YouTube on the Locked On Sports Los Angeles channel after most Dodger games. So you can go check that out. And for here, we're giving you a little bit of the game, a little bit of the greater picture on the Dodgers. And we're going to get a little bit into the game on this one, because the Dodgers did put up 11 runs. It was an offensive game. Jack Flaherty pitched similar to how he's pitched in every outing for the Dodgers. Not that efficient, pretty good. Had strikeouts. He actually did walk 3 guys in this game, which is uncharacteristic in his time as a Dodger so far. But the big thing is the offense. The offense put up 11 runs. Freddie Freeman with a pair of home runs. You had Teoscar Hernandez going 5 for 5. You had Will Smith with a couple hits. Chris Taylor with a couple hits. Mookie Betts with a couple hits and 3 RBI. And obviously Ohtani with a couple hits, couple walks, and those 3 stolen bases. So, up and down this lineup. And we said it again and again and again. Once the Dodgers got Muncy and Edman back, this team was going to look a lot different. And since they got Muncy and Edman back, the Dodgers have been scoring over 6 runs a game. And yeah, Jeff, it's a lot different when you have major league hitters up and down your lineup.
Yeah, for sure. And, again, Muncy didn't even play in this game. Edman only had 1 hit. But the whole concept is they pushed the bad players off the roster, basically. And now you have almost everybody on the roster you can count on to at least give you good at bat. Chris Taylor has turned into a dadgum contact hitter. He's only struck out 3 times in 19 plate appearances since he came back from the IL. The Dodgers had 17 hits, 4 walks. That's 21 base runners. They had 4 stolen bases. Obviously, some of that, 4 of the base runners and 3 of the stolen bases are Ohtani. but that's still 17 base runners and a stolen base by the non-Ohtanis. Teoscar had, finished just a homer short of the cycle. He had the triple and the double early in the game, and then finished off with 3 singles later in the game, which was somebody in the chat I saw, I think it was BC, said any other day 5 for 5 would make you player of the game. But then you have Freddie Freeman, who had 2 homers and a sac fly, and for me, the way it came, the Dodgers were up 1-0 when he hit his first homer, the 2-run homer. That's huge, going from 1-0 to 3-0. They were up 3-1 when he got his sac fly. Got in that insurance run. A 2-run lead is scary because one guy gets on and suddenly the tying run is at the plate. So going from 3-1 to 4-1 in that moment felt huge. And then the Dodgers tacked on that inning too. And then Freddie's second homer put the game out of reach. Got it to the point where, hey, we can have Michael Peterson and Brent Honeywell close us out, knowing that they'll probably give up some runs, but we have a big enough lead. So Freddie was just huge. 4 home runs in the series after missing the last series because of his broken finger. I talked with Clint over on All Dodgers this afternoon, right after the game, about Freddie taking a break and how well it worked for him. And just all in all, like the whole offense today. I mean, not the whole offense. You did have Kike was 0 for 5. But other than that, I mean, everybody showed up and did a really good job.
Yeah, and this is the type of offense that you expect. Like, you see Chris Taylor there at the bottom. He has 2 hits and he has 2 runs scored. And we said, like, if the bottom of the order could just play league average, you let the top of the order do the work. And the top of the order did the work today. Like, Mookie Betts had 3 RBIs. Freddie had the 5 RBIs. Ohtani had no RBIs, but 2 runs scored and the stolen bases and, causing havoc up there at the top of the lineup. And then, Will Smith steps in today and Teo. And it's obviously not going to always be like this. They're not going to score 11 runs every single game, but they're capable.
Why not, Vince?
They're capable of it. They're capable. Hey, they're capable of it. Realistically, it's not always going to happen, but it's possible. And I think that's the big part of this. But now that you mentioned, Kike being hitless, and I've seen this a lot kind of on social media. So maybe a good talking point right now is, Max Muncy's been sitting a little bit against left-handers. We're used to Max Muncy being an everyday player, but since he came back from injury, he hasn't necessarily been an everyday guy. He doesn't sit against every lefty, but, more often than not so far. Is this something you expect to continue? Do you think, in a playoff game right now, like, are you starting Kike at third base if there's a left-hander on the mound or whoever at third base?
It's hard because in his career, Muncy has hit lefties really well. But that's just not the case the last few years. Most of that from 2018, his first year with the Dodgers, through 2021, he was awesome against lefties, maybe even better against lefties than against righties. But the last 3 years, his OPS against lefties in 2022 was only 680, 2023, 642. This year, it's only 596. And then you look at the batting averages. Like in 2021, he batted 276 with a 961 OPS against lefties. This year, he's batting 136 with the 596 OPS. The fact is, he's been very bad against lefties this year. And I think it's too late in the season to hope that's going to suddenly fix itself. I don't think the fact that it's 3 years in a row now, I suspect there's just something that's different about Muncy, that he's just not as good against lefties as he used to be, whether it's just age catching up with him or the injuries piling up or whatever it is. But I don't think you can really afford. And yeah, Kike went 0 for 5 today, but Kike has hit lefties really well the last couple months. And if Kike is going to be on the postseason roster, it's going to be to hit lefties when the opportunity arises. And, they do have other righties. They have Miguel Rojas, who can play third base. They have Chris Taylor, who can play third base, who, if Kike doesn't hit, I feel like there are probably Tommy Edman could even play third base. I feel like there's probably 3 or 4 better options to play third base against left-handed pitching than Max Muncy for this year, and hope, at this point, we just got to say, okay, maybe next year he'll be better.
Now, that's starting the game. I can understand. Now, obviously, Muncy got taken out in the middle of the game the other day. I don't see that happening in a postseason game unless it's like maybe I can't see like bases loaded and you're bringing in the 5th inning and you're bringing in somebody to bat for Muncy, and then you don't have Muncy the rest of the game.
Yeah, and it depends on the game situation. I do think they were quicker to pull that trigger the other day when people were upset because like I said, if Kike is going to have a role, right now they're playing for their October roles. And so if Kike is going to have a role in October, it's going to be coming into pinch hit for either Lux or Muncy against a tough lefty. And so, yeah, you got to kind of give him those opportunities right now. I do think, yeah, they're not going to pull the trigger that early in a game in the postseason. And it's not like Muncy hasn't gotten hits against lefties this year. He has. So, it could happen. But yeah, they'll have to balance all of that. But also in October, every run counts more. And so in the fifth inning, if you do have a chance you have a pitcher on the ropes, even then you'll look at all of what's going on. It's like, okay, is the pitcher struggling with command? Because Muncy's more likely to work a walk than Kike is, all those things. So it's all going to come down to it. But I do think the other day was mostly, all right, well, here's Kike's October role. Let's give him a chance to do something in it.
Yeah. And now, and we'll talk about this right now. Dodgers have a 5-game lead over the Padres. Have the 6-game lead over the Diamondbacks. We'll get into kind of what the NL West would take for the Dodgers to not win it, and maybe a little bit more on that conversation of, okay, now are the Dodgers at a point where they can start the auditions again and get Kike in the 5th inning of a game and take Muncy out and, try someone reliever in the 8th inning rather than the 6th inning, all that type of stuff. So that's what's coming up. So make sure to keep it locked on Dodgers. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. You've heard us talk a lot about FanDuel because it's America's #1 sports book. But right now, they are proving why they're America's #1 sports book because they have something a little different than just placing some bets. Because now through September 22nd, all FanDuel customers can bet $5 and get a 3-week free trial of NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Yes, that NFL Sunday Ticket that shows you all out-of-market NFL games. You can get it because if you have a YouTube TV base plan and you're be able to watch all the out-of-market games, and all you need is a Google account and a current form of payment, and you can cancel anytime. And remember, you just got to download the FanDuel app or go ahead to FanDuel.com and download the America's #1 sportsbook. Place any $5 bet, and you get that 3-week free trial of NFL Sunday Ticket. It's the best way to spend a Sunday if you're not. Well, once baseball's over, when baseball's going on, you can split it. But best day, NFL Sunday Ticket all day on a Sunday once we get into November. So go to FanDuel.com, download the FanDuel app, and check it all out. And we'll go watch some football. Want to thank you for being an everydayer if you are one, an everydayer, just someone that listens or watches every day. And if you're not ready for that type of commitment, well, if you're watching 1 time a week, you can bump it up to 2 and so on and so forth. And if you find yourself at 5, you're now an everydayer and you are used to that commitment. So make sure to do that. And remember, you can go beyond the podcast. Come on, Locked On Dodgers Insider at joinsubtext.com/LockedOnDodgers. $2 a month. You get text directly from us with any news, thoughts, rumors, updates, and all things Dodgers. If you're not on social media all day, don't worry, we got you covered. So make sure to go to joinsubtext.com/LockedOnDodgers. Appreciate it. The call out here says, the beard, yeah, I do think. I actually wish I had the beard on top of my head, but I'll take it. I take it where it's at now, so we're in a good spot. So appreciate the compliment there. But yeah, Jeff, the Dodgers, like I said, now 5 games up on the Padres, who won on Monday. They're 6 games up on the Diamondbacks. They have the season series against the Diamondbacks, so that essentially works as a 7-game lead now. Whereas like the Padre one is strictly another lead because the Padres have the season series, so it's a little bit different in that end, but. There are numbers to this, and one thing I like to say is the Dodgers control their own destiny, and this is how it happens because they have the lead. They can win every game, and it wouldn't matter because they would still have the lead. Obviously, that's again not gonna probably happen. It's possible, but the Dodgers are sitting in a good spot right here on September 22nd. You mentioned 24 games left. It would take a collapse on their end and another hot month for Padres and or Diamondbacks for them to catch up.
Yeah, you look at the numbers right now. The Dodgers are 83-55. Padres have played 2 more games than the Dodgers. Padres are 79-61, which means if the Dodgers went 19-5 the rest of the way, they would win the division no matter what the Padres did. Padres could go undefeated. Dodgers would still win. 19-5 is probably a tall order, but it's not out of the question. I should have looked to see if the Dodgers have had any 19-5 stretches this season. I know they've had 19-5 stretches in the past few seasons. And when you factor in, like I mentioned earlier, they have 9 games against the Marlins and Rockies. They have, 19-5 is probably not likely. But if the Dodgers, let's look at, I guess you can't call this a worst case scenario, but if the Dodgers went 500, went 12-12, the Padres would have to go 16-6 to tie the Dodgers, and then the Padres would win that because they have the tiebreaker. So Dodgers just going 500, Padres have to go 16-6, which is a big difference there. If the Dodgers right now, their winning percentage is just over 600. So a 600 winning percentage would be between 14 and 15 wins. So say the Dodgers went 14-10 the rest of the way. And this was one of our insiders, Scott, messaged me with this particular scenario. If the Dodgers went 14-10, Padres would have to go 18-4 to tie them, and the D-backs would have to go 20-4 to tie the Dodgers. But since the Dodgers have the tiebreaker, D-backs would have to go 21-3 to beat the Dodgers. And that's just if the Dodgers play the way they have so far this year, which we can all agree has been underperforming a little bit. They have been better lately than they have been overall. So 14-10 even seems a little bit low. I would guess, if I had to guess how the Dodgers are going to do, I would guess 16-8. That would be about my guess for the rest of looking at their opponents, looking at how they're playing, all of that stuff. 16-8. If the Dodgers go 16-8, then the Padres have to go 20-2 to tie them and therefore beat them out. The Dodgers have almost clinched a playoff spot at this point. We are very close. Any day now, they could actually clinch a postseason spot, and which seems silly to talk about. That there was a lot of hand wringing, coming out of the All-Star break. People saying this team's going to be lucky to even make the postseason, which was always silly. But we're going to have proof that it was silly pretty soon when they clinched that spot. All in all, like, you really got to like the Dodgers' position, and that's why you like to be in first place. You control your destiny. They're 6 games ahead of the Padres in the loss column, and they are in not as much the driver's seat as they usually are this time of year, but still plenty in the driver's seat.
Yeah, and it's not they're done playing with the D-backs this season. They have 3 more with the Padres. 6 of their last 9 games of the season are against the Rockies. 9 of those last 12, I think, is Marlins and Rockies. So, like, even if they did struggle here to start out, they got the Guardians. I forget who else they play. They play the Braves. Like, they play a couple teams that are playoff teams, and even if they struggle there, like,
I think it's a 4-game series against the Braves too, isn't it?
Yeah. So there's a chance for it to, maybe whittle back down to 3 games or something like that. If the Padres stay hot, D-backs stay hot, but you want to be ahead. This is why you build out this point. And, the Dodgers, regardless of how hot the D-backs were and how hot the Padres were, like, they're right back where they were when we weren't worried about it yet. Like, when the Dodgers were up 7 games, we were still talking about not necessarily being worried about it. Then it got down to 3 games, and you're like, all right, maybe we're a little more concerned about it. And then now it's back up to, 5 and 6 games. Now that's not foolproof, but Jeff just laid down the numbers. Like, if the Dodgers just play 500 baseball, like, the Padres would still have to stay on that ridiculous run and go, 16-6, and the D-backs would have to be better than that. So they're in a great spot. And, I don't know if we're in the spot to necessarily, like, the other part is the top record. So, 1 or 2 seed. The Dodgers are, I think, at game and a half on the Phillies, 2 games on the Brewers, something like that. So it's still close at the top. So the Dodgers still have something to play for. So, if there's people concerned about, oh man, like, the NOS is maybe coming to run, let's say in the next few days, like, the Dodgers run it up to a 6 or 7 game lead on both teams. You're like, oh man, the Dodgers might not be playing competitive games. Like, the Dodgers still want to be that 1 or 2 seed. 1, for you miss the whole series. Like, you'll get automatic bid into the next series. But 2, like, with Tyler Glasnow and Yamamoto injured, like, if you can delay that first time they have to pitch in October by another week, then you can maybe slow play them a little bit more, or they have an extra time to build back up to 85, 90, 100 pitches, and you'll be ready to go.
Yeah, absolutely. The crazy thing is the Dodgers have a decent chance at winning 100 games again. If they went 17-7 the rest of the way, they'd get to 100 wins, which seemed like there was no chance, a month or so ago. But they're playing really well right now. And again, like I said, 17-7 isn't out of the question at all. And that would get them to 100 wins, which would just be remarkable considering all the injuries they battled through, all of everything that they battled through, the underperforming. It's pretty awesome. And this series against the D-backs just kind of solidified, you and I both said going into the series, we'll take a split. A split will be considered a win. A win is so much better than a split. Now I'm like, man, I wish they had just swept. But, throwing Robleski out there gave them a chance to rest other pitchers. They were able to win the series and get their bullpen actually in a decent spot. After the bullpen had to take down 8 innings on Friday, thought, crap, this might mess them up for the rest of the year. And yet now they're suddenly in a good spot. Like the worst you can say about the game on Monday is that Michael Kopech had to warm up. Alex Vesia threw 4 pitches and Michael Kopech warmed up. All the rest of their high leverage relievers haven't pitched in a couple days. So things are looking really good for the Dodgers heading into the Angels series. And, I'm still rooting for 24-0. Just finish off real strong. That would put them at 107 wins. I think everybody would agree that was a good season. And then they can take their 4 days off and then sweep whichever one of these loser teams shows up in the NLDS, sweep them, and they should just not lose any more the rest of the season. 24 wins of the regular season, 11 wins of the postseason, go 35-0 the rest of the way, call it a day.
Yeah, make it easy. The other part, real quick, to kind of bring up on that end, and there was points, obviously, this season where, Kevin Biggio's in the starting lineup, Nick Ahmed's in the starting lineup. Like, you have guys that aren't necessarily great or not good major league hitters. And, this is obviously all coming from the loud section of social media, but you see, what about, the Dodgers and their depth and blah, 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 blah. The depth is the fact that you can name a full starting rotation on the injured list. You could name, a few weeks ago before everyone came back, you could have 3 or 4 all-stars on the injured list or not away from the team or whatever it was. And they're still in line to potentially win 100 games. That's the depth. It's not necessarily in one individual area. Like, the lineup was beat up at some times, but Landon Knack and, even Robleski and guys like that can step up in the rotation and hold it down. Guys in the bullpen that they find, like Anthony Banda, was a depth piece probably initially, or, they might have some plans for him to kind of check it out and check out what he has. And now he's probably going to throw some high leverage innings in October. Like, the depth and the, the dumpster diving and all that type of stuff, it's part of the season. It's not the part of the season you want, but it's the part of the season where the Dodgers win on the margins like this. And, with other teams, the D-backs have been playing well without Marte and Christian Walker, but, they've had, they've had their starters back healthy-ish for a little bit. The Padres have been down Darvish for most of the year and Tatis for a while, and they, they're still playing well, but the depth comes from different areas. And the fact of, I don't think there's many teams that can withstand all the injuries the Dodgers had and still be in line to win 100 games.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is why you and I often preach enjoying the regular season, because, you look at all the different emotions of this season and the team that we were frustrated with at different times of the season, the team we're excited about at different points of the season, the current team is totally different than those teams. And the team in October will hopefully be at least a little bit different with Glasnow and Yamamoto back. There's just so many ups and downs over the long season, which is part of what makes it a lot of fun.
And, now we're sitting here with a lineup that is scoring 5-6 runs every night, having some more explosion nights where they're putting up double-digit runs. They're scoring beyond the 5th inning now. The rotation's not quite there, but holding it down. The bullpen's in a better spot and could be getting improvements here in the next week or so with Gratterall coming back. So it's one of those things where the Dodgers are in, assuming Glasnow and Yamamoto come back, that's obviously a big part of this, but probably in the best spot they've been almost at any point this year other than opening day. Like, it's been health right now for the most part is solid.
Yep.
All right. You got anything else, Jeff?
Nope. Good day today.
All right. Shohei Ohtani makes his return to Anaheim for reals this time. He did it in an exhibition game, but this one will count. So I'm expecting him to hit at least one homer this series. I would imagine that he's for sure going to be wanting to, so maybe that takes away from it. But, I'm sure it'll be a lot of Dodger fans. Angels are, once again, not good. I don't know if we mentioned this, but Ohtani's now on the winningest team he's ever been on in the big leagues in terms of number of wins. He's never been on a team that's won more than 82 games or whatever. So
never won more than 80 games. He's never been on a winning team.
Oh, there you go. So even worse. So congrats, Ohtani. Yeah, I know October's in your eyes now. So that's going to do it for today's episode. Thank you all for listening. Thank you for making Locked On Dodgers your first listen of the day. Make sure to find us wherever you get podcasts and on YouTube. Make sure to subscribe to make it easier to find us when our episodes are ready or when we're going live. Remember, you can check out Locked On Sports Today or Locked On Sports Los Angeles, 24/7 streaming channels from the Locked On Podcast Network, bringing the biggest news and stories from the sports world and the LA sports world. The Locked On Dodgers postcast with host Pete Fox is available after most Dodger games on the Locked On Sports Los Angeles YouTube channel, bringing you a recap of the game. You can check out Locked On MLB with our pal Sully, bringing you his humor and knowledge of the game to get you ready for the Fall Classic this October. You can find us on social media, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at Locked On Dodgers. Jeff's on Twitter at Snydog. I'm at Vincent91. You can DM us with any questions or comments. You can also send those via email, lockedondodgers@gmail.com, or via voicemail text at 323-863-5625. We're here every weekday morning, and we hope you'll be here with us. When you get in your car, if you're at home, tear smart device, play podcast, Locked On Dodgers. And remember, you don't have to agree. You just have to listen. Have a good one.
We'll talk to you tomorrow.